I remember being very young and listening to Daddy Yankee, and all the girls would be like, "What is this? I don't like this. It's very vulgar." And I'd be like, "Yeah, but like, me asusta, pero me gusta."
On this episode of 3 Shots, 3 Questions, we're with DJ radio host EsaMiPau. The Mexico City-based music lover is part of a booming underground music scene. And we find out how it all got started. Pau, thank you for joining us on 3 Shots, 3 Questions.
Thank you for inviting me.
We're going to take a shot of tequila.
Okay.
I'll ask you a question, and then repeat that for questions 2 and 3.
Okay.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Salud.
Salud. Perfect to break the ice.
You've been touring and you've performed your music all around the world. But I want to take a step back and I just want to know, how did you first get started in music?
Since I was a little girl, I've always liked music. I never quite got the gist of how to play with dolls. It's not that I'd rather listen to music than playing with dolls, but I remember that. But then I specifically remember like having a red vinyl that was like a Disney story, and I used to play that all the time. And I remember I used to like just memorize every song on the radio. Like that stuck in my head, and my mom was like, "Well, if you were like that in history as you were good with music, everything would be different, like your grades." And my mom, being a very Mexican mom, worried about my future. She was like, "You have to do something. I don't want you sitting in my house just like doing nothing." And the college I was going into had a radio station, which I actually listened to it on the car. Not all the college radio stations go on FM, but this specifically did. And when I got to the college, I saw the billboard for the radio station, and it was like some kind of a weird sign because I didn't even know the name of the radio station. I just knew the numbers on the dial, which is 90.9. I went in, I told one of the ladies, the boss ladies that worked there, like, "You know what, I don't know how to do anything. I just know I like music. I have this thing, I'm very curious about radio." And that's when I started working there. And as I started actually learning how to use the equipment, a lot of other musical styles actually got my attention because I was like, okay, so maybe you can mix this with this, and then you start learning como different techniques. And I started DJing tropical music, cumbia, reggaeton. I encountered myself again with dancehall. I used to like dancehall when I was little. I just really think I found a style that I really, really, really enjoy playing, and I enjoy myself while playing it. Para arriba, para abajo, para el centro y para adentro, pero para adentro así o así.
I don't know. Let's go. Are we doing that? Are we trying to do this on camera right here?
Obviamente. Okay. Para arriba, abajo, al centro, and then you have to, exacto.
That was good.
Good.
So you started talking about the radio station a little bit. Ibero 90.9. You host a radio show.
Yeah.
Tell me about the show. What's it about? How did you get started in that?
Ibero 90.9 was usually focused on alternative music. Indie, rock, Spanish music, Latin American music, but never ever tropical. I started having my own show like on the 5th year of being there. And then I shared a show with one of the programmers. Sometimes he used to miss Fridays. So Fridays, I used to call them Viernes de Perreo. So in Mexico, we have a saying, cuando el gato se va a dormir, los ratones salen a jugar. When the cat goes to sleep, the mice, they come out and play. So for me, like Fridays was like a free day, and I was like, you know what? It's like a feeling when the teacher leaves the room, and it's like, you know what? It's like everyone up on the tables, everyone like, let's just have fun and just like lose their shit. And I was already DJing global bass, tropical bass, cumbias, and there was no space for that in the radio station or any radio station that wasn't a popular radio station. And I found like a really good niche of producers that I thought had to be heard. It was very natural for me just to give them that space in that radio show At the beginning, like a lot of people como used to react to it, not in a very good way. So I didn't want to make the 2 hours of reggaeton. Like a year into that, they started asking for the show to be 1 hour of reggaeton, and then when I started with an hour of reggaeton, they asked for the other hour. So but that took me like 3 years.
You won them over.
I forced myself upon them just a little bit because they used to react on Twitter, online. I was like, you know what? If you cannot listen to this and if you cannot stomach this, then it's probably not the right radio show for you. Which I got a lot of shit from from my bosses because they were like, you cannot tell people not to listen to the radio station. But I didn't mind, and I kept doing that. And the people that really liked it, they stuck. And they stayed, and they tuned in.
Movements do not happen overnight. Salud.
Salud.
You're part of Mexico City's booming underground music scene. What is Viernes de Perreo?
Viernes de Perreo started out as this small section in the radio, and then it turned into a radio show, and then soon after, that turned into a club night. I'm very good friends with this guy called Disque DJ. He got an offer from a club to actually do something, like do a party on a Friday, and he called me up and he's like, you know how I have a slot on this club on a Friday, and I thought about Viernes de Perreo, why don't we do it? We did like 3 or 4 parties together, and then it started getting bigger and bigger because there were no tropical music parties inside of the city. So all the reggaeton parties or cumbia parties or whatever, they happened on the outskirts. It's evolved so much, just like something very different. I just remember the first times I used to like host a section and just play, not even reggaeton, I used to play global bass. It's just like very kind of tropical, but not like that in your face. And people reacted to it. They didn't like it. They were very outspoken about it. Having reggaeton in the mainstream has also helped a lot. It paved the way for another like local artists or Latin artists to actually be part of that scene and be part of that mainstream, and people actually receiving them and listening to their music and appreciating their music without feeling that they're like in some weird way like rolling around in a pigsty, because that's the stigma that reggaeton and tropical music had a lot of years ago. Now you see like all the girls in super preppy clubs, and they play La Gasolina, and they just pull up their skirts and they're like, hey, you know?
There it is, folks.
There it is.
Well, I want to thank you for joining us on 3 Shots 3 Questions.
Thank you for inviting me. I hope you guys have fun. I wish there were 2 more. No, nos vamos, nos quedamos. Ah, ¿verdad?